All right, well, welcome back to the trailer project. Finally making some progress, or gonna make some progress anyway, on the trailer project. As you can see, I have it in the garage, so that's at least a step forward in the process. I got my jerry-rigged jack stands back here. The idea of all of this is to get these axles swapped out. So this is the old axle. I have some timber axles in this pile of junk back here. New axles, brakes, electronic brakes, hand brakes. Yeah, I think that's it. So right now I'm just gonna go through and start getting everything prepped. I originally had the idea actually of using this system, the rack system I had made for the hoist system I made for the trailer or the rooftop tent on my truck, as a lifting mechanism. But once I kind of got in here and looking at this thin cotton clothesline that I use, I just don't think it'll hold up. It may, but we'll see. We may be using it as just kind of a hoist with some backup jack stands down here, but all in all, I don't think it's a great idea. So what we're gonna do now is get rid of all this crap, all this old kind of janky lights, old business here. Let's go through and get all the old paint off, and again, old. This is eventually gonna go. We're gonna get rid of the old wiring system, new wiring system. Eventually have a new hitch. I got a lock and roll hitch system right here. So this piece is going to get welded onto the back of the trailer, and then this piece can be flipped on the truck itself to be either with a 4-inch swing, either a 2-inch drop or a 2-inch raise off the hitch. I'm going to be using the 2-inch raise off the hitch. I get a bunch of calculations. A lot of the time spent here in the last couple months has been just trying to figure out the complete design of the trailer itself, how it's all going to end up in the end. So we're actually going to end up with a 4 3/4-inch drop. So currently this is what was it, 4'2", something like that, a little over 4'2" height, and it's going to drop 4 3/4 inches down. A couple reasons for that. One, this right now is a 34.5-inch tire on there. The tires I have for it are my old tires. They are currently 32 inches roughly. That drops it a little bit. The axle system drops it a little bit. And generally I wanted to drop it anyway because of the design. So the design that we're settling on right now, it's going to have this tailgate here is still going to drop down. I originally was kind of flirting with some ideas of having it swing out and doing kitchens and whatnot, but right now we're going to have this thing drop down. I'm going to have a fridge. We're going to do a Dometic fridge inside here. It'll sit, I don't mind the debris and trash that's accumulated from the side of the house here. The Dometic fridge will sit on the side here, and then there'll be a slide out that'll go from here to the wheel wells, and it'll slide out and then flip out. Here, it'll have I looked at a Camp Chef stove oven combo. It'll sit right here. The thing sits at about 18 inches right at the level. It'll sit right here. The other half of it will flip out, have the sink and a drawer system or cutting board system of some kind right here. So that's kind of the idea, the general layout of it. This is going to have a top. We're going to go another 3 inches up on it with a cover. Probably use some 1x square tubing with sheet metal to cover the entire thing. That's needed for the slide outs in height that I have. They'll probably end up around here, around this height for the trailer. So I needed some kind of raised system cover to go over it. That's the idea. And then we're gonna go and do off of these supports, I'll do a 2x2 square tubing that's going to come up to about 5'8" or so. My height, 5'9", I don't know, of right here at the top, and that'll be the top support system for the rooftop tent, spare tire, any kind of miscellaneous shade canopies and whatnot for the top. And that's going to be rigid. I originally was talking about doing a telescoping idea to where we could sit down low and then telescope to that height. But given the dimension of this bed, it could really only be about 16 inches of height difference. And there's a whole lot of moving parts, and I wasn't sure the structural integrity of it driving down a dirt road and just off-road and wheeling to have that kind of movement and just the longevity of it. So we're going with a rigid system. Down the road, if it comes to it, we can change it, but as of right now, that's kind of what we're doing. So that's the idea. That's the layout. That took a number of months and a lot of design iterations to come up with that plan. That's kind of what we're going with right now, the whole front. So there'll be a water tank in here, a pump, battery system I think is going to be storage up here, and then the rest of this front section right here is going to be just storage of tables and chairs and whatnot. The front, in order to access it, since I'm closing it up, is going to have to turn into its own tailgate. So this whole thing is going to drop down and become a tailgate to where I can access it and throw tables and chairs and whatnot in there. That eliminates any kind of, I originally thought about doing a trailer box right here. You no longer do that. I'm going to have to move the new jack stand here, and that'll go up front further. Probably do a propane tank off the front. And again, this is going to be swapped out with a different the lock and roll hitch. So that's the idea. So now we just have to make it happen, make all those thoughts and designs actually come together. So first things first, just going to get this thing cleaned up. This is the only piece right here that's structurally unsound. I'm going to have to put a new section there. And all of that, I installed a new 220 outlet all by myself over here. Boom, to run the new Hobart. It's a 110-220 welder. I don't have a lot of experience. I got some experience stick welding, not a lot of experience with the wire-fed welder. This one will run off a 110 or 220. I wanted to put the 220 in there to get these structural welds I have to do with the axle down here and the hitch. I don't have a lot of experience welding, but I'm going to do a bunch of test runs before I start doing any kind of structural welding on it. Hopefully it works out. I think that's about it. The Hobart is essentially a Miller knockoff. It's all the same components. It even says Miller on a number of the components in there, so it's a decent welder. We'll see. Actually, I don't have much experience again, but we'll see how it works out. Yeah, I think that's about it. I originally was thinking that I had to, the way this whole Timbren axle-less setup works, I thought that I would have to do a drop-down system with this. If you look inside here, here's the frame. It's a 3-inch frame right here, and how there's a 7.5 degree essentially offset between the Timbren top of the axle where it mounts and our center of our hub. And I originally was thinking I'd have to do some sort of drop down to make it work, but with that the drop that we need for the trailer itself and just, you know, general ride height that was required, it worked out to where I can actually bolt this directly to the axle, or to the frame. I'll bolt it directly to the frame, and then I'm going to use a support 2x3 that goes from one of the axles to the other side, right at this level. It'll be right here, so it'll be a 2x3 running across for the lateral bracing required, so it doesn't just bend in on itself. So that is the plan. So let's get started just knocking these things out, small items at this point, but all required to get this thing cleaned up and ready to then swap the axle or take this axle off. I think that's going to be a big task. Take the axle off and get the new Timbren axle-less on there, and then we can figure out all the rest of it. All right, here we go. can see, I'm dirty and I'm done. I got all this trailer sanded down as much as I could. I'm going to wait on the underside here once I pull the axles. That's what's going to be on the next episode. So revealed some rust damage like we were talking about before, a little more extensively. If you look at this other side, it's real bad. So what I'm going to do right here, look at that. So what I'm going to do, yeah, just a mess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get just a piece of square tubing. I was thinking about sheet metal just to try and emulate what they have here, but that's going to be more difficult and it's not going to save me anything. You're not going to really notice it, so I'm going to get a new piece. It's like it's a weird dimension, so we'll see if I can find something similar to match and make it look to where it's not so, doesn't stand out so much. But I have this one, 2 for sure. There's a third over here. It just has a hole in it. I think it'll be fine. It's not really too structural, but that's what we're planning for the welding piece of it. So that's it. That's for this video. Stay tuned for the next one. We're going to do the axle swap, grind and cut off everything we need to get this thing pulled out of there, and then put those timbrins in, the wheels and tires that I have over there. Hopefully there's not as much of a gap between the next video and this one as there was between the last and this one. But we'll see. I'm hoping just a week, maybe 2 weeks. I have to get a wire for the handbrake, missing it in the box. So got to get the company and get that thing squared away. But that's it. So stay tuned for the next one. If you're liking what we're seeing, hopefully you'll subscribe, hit the like button, and catch you next time.